Hey there, I am back with another video. It is 10:51 a.m. It is July 24th. It is Thursday morning, and I wanted to come on here and make a video. Now, I think a lot of people know that I'm doing everything I can to make the best of my time, okay? And I did mention yesterday that I guess the bus driver was aware of the fact that I try to get out of the house. And I think there's a certain select group of people here in the community that still kind of hate the fact that I go out in town. I was thinking, okay, what is wrong with somebody going outside of their house? I did get the intuitive message that some of it had to do with the fact that, he resented me, okay, because of I was recognized as a Messiah. And not just that, it's the fact that it's the Egyptian roots, and that I'm female, and that I am restoring my reputation so that I can make a living. And so this was something that he highly resented. Now, I went to bed last night and I was thinking about, me moving forward and my mindset, you know what I mean? And I had mentioned before in the video that I posted that I'm not interested in, going and finding out what's going on around me or anything like that. I'm completely 100% focused on Gordon's occupational engineering and, getting enough funds raised so that I can go back home. And that's it, okay? So I'm very careful when it comes to me like logging onto my computer, email stories that they're talking about relating to celebrities and stuff like that. And a lot of the celebrities, I'm basically saying is the reason why I'm walking away and distancing myself is because what little respect that I do have, I need to keep that intact. Okay, I feel as though the intrusion into my personal life, the but I understand a lot of these people were brainwashed by the church, and so I do cut them some slack. And I also understand that their environment is very controlled, meaning that they know what they know is basically what they're told or whatever. And I take all this into consideration. But when it comes to setting boundaries, okay, and understanding what we're able to handle mentally, I would say that this group of people has tapped me out a long time ago. Okay, before I even knew that this was, a celebrity intrusion, I before I even knew that, the cloning thing, all of it. Okay, all I knew is what it was causing me was a lot of unjust stagnation, that it was causing me a severe mental depression. And I really wanted to know what in the world, get to the root of it. And now I understand the root of it. Okay. I do understand that it has a lot to do with the bloodline targeting and the whole character assassination that I dealt with growing up relating to churches and stuff like that. And so, like I said, when it comes to the celebrities, some of these people participated in my targeting mainly because their religion requires them to do that. Okay. There's a very controlling, dark type religion, brainwashing, very forceful. Okay. And that's what they identify with. Okay, and I think they were very shocked because someone like me, I have studied religion, and I have studied the Bible. And when I say religion, I'm talking about I read things like the Book of Mormon. You know what I mean? I remember having Bible studies with Jehovah's Witnesses. I remember talking to Seventh Day Adventists. I remember trying to get as much information, and of course I would compare their doctrines. Okay, why? Because like I said, when I was a kid, all I really wanted to know was the truth. I want to get down to the truth, okay? I want to understand where, the transition of the human soul. Is all of this necessary? Because I understand there's certain things that are written in the Bible that some religions or some denominations revere, they uphold, and they think it's significant, okay? To things like our afterlife. And there's some other religions or Christian denominations that have absolutely no regard for certain things. They might think that's a thing of the past, and they're not bringing it into the modern day. So it's like, okay, I made a point to find this sort of information out. Why? Because I understood that spirituality was the number one and the only thing that I cared about. Okay, throughout the years, I have given people opportunities to restore my faith in mankind. Meaning, like, I have noticed that people have a very dirty, cutthroat behavior to them. Okay, and then one of the reasons why some of the people within these groups had such an issue with me is because they think that I'm too nice of a person. And it's not about being nice. It's about somebody who wants to live their life with a clean conscience. Okay, because I don't get me wrong. You remember where I grew up? I grew up in the Gordon family. Okay, so that meant that I had a mother who did not have proper etiquette, no sense of how to be, uh, how could I say this? To display social etiquette or manners or anything like that. I would say that my mother, she was book smart, okay, but she was kind of ignorant. She was an ignorant woman. So, a lot of my behavior, I've tapped into past lives that encouraged me to look further into how does a person, uh, handle certain situations, or, how do you discipline children in this sort of stuff. Okay. So I realized that I was around people who did not think properly. Okay. And I understand, it makes sense that I am the reincarnation of King Solomon, because I've always was very concerned about things that most kids didn't care about. Okay, and like I said, no offense to the celebrities. A lot of celebrities, like I said, I grew up. A lot of these people's pictures were on my wall, and like I said, the reason why, like, I still want to have respect for them, and this is the reason why I'm ditching out. Okay, I really have lost a lot of respect for certain people just because they allowed this brainwashing. And I understand, these sort of Christian, like, cult groups, they're very forceful. They're very forceful, and they feel like they're justified in doing it. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I think it was my second quarter newsletter. I talked about the First Amendment and the importance of understanding what the guidelines are in this country, because now we're still in a little bit of entanglement. And yesterday's issue with bus number 45 brought it to my attention that yes, indeed, there are still some stragglers hanging in the workplace with heavy resentments. And like I said, this argument is circular because everything that they created and I stood up to, right? They wanted to get upset because I was standing up for being in a situation that I shouldn't have been put in the first place. So this is the sort of mindset that you deal with when it comes to the demonic people. And I know that, a lot of the mainstream religions have been fronting and calling themselves God's people, when in fact they have absolutely no concept of anything related to the Bible. Now, when it comes to the Bible, like I said, I was very, very deep in the Bible when I was growing up. And some people say, well, aren't you now? I would say, yeah, I am. Okay. But I also understand what the Bible should be used for. The Bible should be used for, specific reference points. Okay. And then I also, like I talked about, how certain people behave the same way. It's historical. People and their disbelief or their inability to come through or show integrity, kind of like Peter. You know what I mean? Same old stuff. They get confronted with an issue. They're too cowardice. They can't handle it. They back out. They deny it. They whatever. Same thing with Judas. Judas was a two-timing backstabber in person, okay, who put conscious effort and thought into his betrayal, okay? We still have these kind of people today, okay? But I also understand, how humans have formulated and how they've evolved throughout the centuries, okay? So this is something I am not going to ignore. I also understand that things, there's a lot of people who still, look at women as less than. Okay, there's still some people who look at certain minorities as less than, and I know better. Okay, now people can have their personal preferences or whatever. That sort of stuff is not in me. And I know that's very difficult for a lot of people to understand, but this is who I am. It's a part of my spirituality, it's part of my nature. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I think it makes me, puts me in a situation where I am a fair and just leader, because I'm not going to show any biases. Okay, whereas most people struggle with that. They struggle with it. Even if they were raised in a family, right? Like, for example, I see a lot of white supremacist people, right? Their families might treat them like garbage, okay? But they'll still sit there and uphold this sort of white supremacist doctrine, even though the people around them have never shown them any sort of respect. They may get treated like a doormat, blah, 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 but they'll still preach it, they'll still tout it, and they'll still whatever. So exactly, like, for example, when I think about Elon Musk, right? I'm curious. I find Elon Musk a very curious person, which is one of the reasons why I did want to meet him. because I know that he did do a Nazi salute, and I do know that he was promoting things like rock. But when you think about it, it is these sort of groups that turned him into the person that he is. Okay, so my question is, what did he see in these people? I don't think he saw anything in these people, but I think his arm was twisted, so he had to do that. Okay, and or maybe he was just outright brainwashed, whatever. Okay, my point is that I'm somebody who wants to know what I believe. Okay, and I do believe in individualism, meaning I'm well aware of the fact that I've been betrayed by a shitload of white people. Okay, and like I said in one of my videos, I have no reason to trust white people. I have no reason to like white people. But at the same time, I know that I was thrown into a program where my own black family was acting like a complete, utter fool, aligned with Nazi spouses, right, to betray me, okay, for an organization that cared nothing for them, okay, which with this was quite apparent when this last DEI initiative was trying to be, rolled out and initiated in the workplaces. So that means that these people were using minorities and making sure that they had no resources for them, okay, but they were making sure that their bases were covered for, I guess, white men. And like I said, I am not a racist person, but I know that I've been dealing with a lot of racism, and a lot of the racism does come from white men. Okay, but I'm a victim of circumstance of their program, of their program. So if anything, I'm their karma. Okay, and I can tell you that I have encountered some white men. Like a couple days ago, I was at the library, and I got on the elevator, and there was one guy. He came in, and I could just tell that he had this resentment towards me. I could feel it. Okay, I can feel it. He doesn't really know how to articulate it, and what it is the reason why he can't articulate it is because he knows good and well that these people were in the wrong, that they directed all their anger. They're angry because I am a somebody who is more intelligent than them. I understand their program. I understood what their plot was. I understood everything. Okay, and he knew that I'm innocent. So what it is like he has to come to the realization that he has no right to hate me. He can hate me, but it's all his fault. You know what I mean? And most people in this community know this. So I've actually encountered some salty people who were angry because they wanted me dead. They wanted to act like they were righteous about it, right? And so when they see me walking down the street, I can see it on their faces. People are seriously highly demonic, and I'm aware of it. So I'm more than happy to keep my distance. But I do need things like public transportation. So this is one of the reasons why, and the reason why I need public transportation because these evil devils did what they did. Okay, and I'm holding people accountable, meaning like this person didn't show up, and I'm assuming that it was a white guy. Okay, and I don't want to create racial wars. Okay, but this dude, because when I addressed Donald Trump as well as the churches, got this situation out in the open, like I said, that should have been the end of it. But this one person wanted to try me, and whether this person's white or whatever, they got what they deserve. Okay, they got what they deserve. So in the intuitive message that I'm getting right now, number one, I want to make an announcement that yes, I am launching my website later on this afternoon. Okay, I am just kind of like right now I'm investigating I'm doing some brief reading. Okay, I'm doing some brief reading on social media sites. Okay, because I would like to create blogs, videos, talking about current related issues. And or just workplace topics because it's a part of my business. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, which one is the best? You know what I mean? And I know first thing that popped in my mind was Twitter, right? And I understand that there was this issue with Elon Musk. And like I said, I don't know everything what was going on in Elon Musk's mind. I want to just say that I try very hard to think and understand where he was coming from, okay, as somebody who was basically a victim of human trafficking. And something about soul transition came into my mind. He was a victim of human trafficking, and a lot of things that he did, I don't believe that he had any control over. Okay, meaning that he had no choice. I mean, these people looked at him like a slave. So in this case, in this regard, I guess I understand why he would stand there and do a Nazi salute or grok. Personally, I would say that somebody who grew up in an isolated environment such as that, if he was like this all his life, which I think that he was. I do recall hearing a story about him getting beat up in school and then his father taking the side of the bullies. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he grew up in a very loving environment. Okay. And this is something I understood. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to be his friend. Okay. Because I wanted to show him that somebody cared about him. Okay. And then, so this is what it comes down to. I've understood throughout the ages that I am a being of love, understanding, compassion, and understand and I feel the importance of understanding where people come from, or why they do the things that they do. Okay, what made this person be this way? I have always tried to be this kind of person. I know it used to annoy a lot of people. Some people don't understand it, but I'm a spiritual person. You know what I mean? And so I have to determine whether a person's soul, and believe me, I would never like mess with people's soul. Like if I had the ability to send people to hell or whatever, like, that's not really within my jurisdiction. Okay, but when it comes to people here existing on earth and who I choose to be associated with, who I want to bring close to, or who I feel deserves affection or whatever, those things matter. You know what I mean? And I understand that, I wanted to be his friend because I wanted to understand where he was coming from. And I was hoping that I would have the chance to meet him. But then I also came to understand that all of this stuff was tied into things that it just got too weird. So I made a decision that it's time for me to focus ahead, and I don't want to remember really anybody. You know what I mean? Because I don't really feel as though anybody helped me in my life. I've done everything I've done, every ditch I've been thrown into, I was the person who crawled myself out. I've never had anybody help me with anything. No one's ever done shit for me. Okay, so I would say the majority of the people who said that they were my supporters were actually just creating more obstacles. Okay, so yeah, I'm somebody who is very strong. So the message I'm getting right now has something to do with something about people feeling, I guess, generous towards me, whatever. Okay, if you really want to help me out, check out my website. It's not going to be up on online until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, I did do a video on an introductory video. I will be adding more. Okay, I will only be posting on my Maria Gordon channel when I want to rant. Okay, but I'm looking really hoping that I don't rant anymore. All I really want to focus in on are my projects, and I want to focus on my projects and just making money so I can make it work. So the message I'm getting about something about me. Oh, okay. The reason why I'm talking about Gordon's occupational engineering and me beating college students is because this was an issue that was brought out um, by my what do you call it, my perps. Okay, a lot of people who were associated with my organization, I guess the people that I grew up with, they knew that I was bullied in school. Okay, which I kind of, like I said, these people do some of the most cruel things you can imagine. Okay, they knew that I was bullied in school. They knew I walked away from it. Okay, they knew that they were intruding on every workplace I've ever been in, every public place that I ever go into, that these people were there harassing me, making sure that I knew that I was not wanted there. Okay, so these people were, the part of the goal of bloodline targeting is that they want to beat you. Meaning, like, if you have a goal, they want to make sure that they sabotage that goal. And it's very sick. Okay, like I said, this is all Nazi type uh, mindset. Okay, so like, let's just say, for example, I want to be a ballerina. They're going to go in there to the ballerina instruction place, and they're going to cause problems. They're going to create issues. They're going to whatever, because they want me. The goal is that in some lives, okay, they must have seen me excel so much that they felt so small that they wanted to come and attack this person. Like when I did my reading about why they had such a resentment towards CB Braganza, everything that they hated CB Braganza for is things that most people would say is what you need to do in order to be a whole person. Okay, there is nothing wrong with somebody being cultivated. There's nothing wrong with being elegant. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? So what these people were upset were was the fact that I was a superior person. Period. So this is one of the reasons why they were trying to attack me and being angry because, they felt as though, they were upset about it. And this is why I was being attacked now. And this is, same thing with all the other celebrities and stuff like that. It's about bloodline targeting. Okay. Now, the message I'm getting right now is that a lot of people want to learn from me because they feel as though I'm the master of this particular special skill that I have when it comes to psychology, as well as kind of combining this with law. These are some of my favorite subjects. Okay. But this is how I live my life. I live my life based on what I know. When I know something, it becomes a part of my life. Not just a lesson or something that you take a test on. It's my life. So I don't sit here and do the things that most people do. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, holistic education, making better decisions. It's not just a test at school. It's your life. It is what it is. Okay. A lot of people are aware of Christianity and what it stands for, and people are questioning the religion. I get it. Okay, so the other message I got is that a lot of people in this community, as a matter of fact, around the world, because I have been highlighted, through, I guess, Christian organizations being exploited, pointing at me like, look what she's doing, look what she's doing. But yes, a lot of these people who even participated in them themselves are now coming to the realization that they were part of a human trafficking ring. Yes, we are dealing with human trafficking. The person on bus 45 yesterday was, to me, a residual. Okay, like I said, it may be to where things are getting better now, but this person was trying to carry it on. He was very resentful, okay? And he was very influenced by what was going on. Okay, he's angry because of my bloodline. The reason why some of the recent message I was getting was he was resentful. Something about my toenails. Okay, now a couple of days ago I made a video about me going to the salon. I did not go to the salon. Okay, hopefully I will go to the salon sometime before the fall starts. Okay, now like I said, it's not always easy to take care of the bottom of my feet. Okay, but I did give myself a little bit of a pedicure. I also had some press on nails, toenails that I had stored away in my box, because I keep those things. Okay, I keep nails, I keep toenails, fingernails, kind that you can press on. And yes, they do have press on toenails. Okay, so I decided to give myself a little bit of pedicure. I took care, and I know I did not do it as good as the job as they would do at the salon. Why? Because the angle. I cannot sit here and scrub my feet or file, stuff, quite as well as they can. So I did it myself. Okay, and so I said, you know what? I don't really want to paint my nails this time, so I think I'll just go ahead and use some of these like press-on toenails. And I did. I wore a little outfit 2 days ago, and it had like a bluish type green. I never wore the outfit before, and I felt like, I'm going to cheer myself up. Why? Because that was the day, or the day after, I found out that all the Elon Musk stuff was just getting too weird for me, and I'm like, I'm tired of thinking about people outside of myself. Okay, because to me, it's like everybody to me just always ends up to being a burden. They always got their baggage, or they want to create some sort of problems for me, or whatever. So I'm tired of that. So I went into my self-love mode, and that's exactly what I did. I'm like, you know what? I started looking through my closet to try to get my mind off of the negative stuff. I saw that outfit. I'm like, it's summer. I've had this in my closet for quite a long time. I'm going to wear this outfit. And I'm going to change my nails too. So that's what I did. Now, a lot of people have been paying attention to the things that I do, okay? But I wear my clothes for me. So the bus driver was holding it against me because of my clothes. Also, I got the intuitive message that he or she, okay? I don't know if it's a girl or a guy. I have my suspicions on who it is, though. But anyway, they were resentful for the fact that I wasn't going to get married, okay? Like I said, these people, it's no one's business. And where did they get all this stupid stuff? From religion. From religion. Okay, so this is a person who is upset because the religions were teaching that I was an evil person. He found camaraderie, he found a place of belonging in a group of people who could target a person. He was building his life on the hatred of me. Okay, and now the story is starting to change. People are like, oh, wait a second. She was a victim of a mind control experiment. The churches were at fault. And now he doesn't know what to do with his anger. So guess what? He still wanted to keep it going. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that I'm the only professional who utilizes my skills as a cohesive whole. This is the truth. And I've noticed this, okay, throughout all my jobs, okay, even my management jobs. No, I mean, not my management, but me being a subordinate to most of my managers. Okay, so yes, I have I told you, I'm somebody who is a researcher. I research social sciences and things like that. So sociology, that's a an institution that gets studied, that should be studied. Okay, so in this case, yeah, I was observing, previous managers that I had within the context of a workplace. So yeah, okay, that is sociology. But I'm talking about how we handle things, okay, on a day-to-day basis, and this is using psychology. Okay. And see, my point is that these people who were attacking me were trying to make it seem as though I was not educated. And I always believed that I did not believe in formalized education. Just because, okay, but remember, I wanted to be an accountant a long time ago. So I understood that in order to be an accountant, I needed to get a 4-year degree. I understood that. Okay, but unfortunately, I was intercepted by these people. I was working at Murray Family Farms at that time. I was intercepted by these people. Now, when it comes to, so I understand that, but do I believe that the education system is what makes people intelligent? I always knew that was a lie. To me, the 4-year degree was a means to an end. I need that in order to get certification to be a CPA. That was it. I was never ever thought that, oh, I'm a, if I was to be a bachelor degree carrying person, that somehow that was, no, I don't believe that. I've always knew that did not equate to intelligence, and it did not prove that people had more knowledge. Okay, so these people wanted to confront me and bully me and try to make me feel bad about the bullying that I could not endure in grade school. I mean, going back in the years when I left school when I was very young. So these people were just really enjoying suffering. They enjoy suffering. That's what they are. Now it's getting very quiet in the town. I can feel like the silence, okay? Because they know I'm telling the truth. So the message I'm getting right now is that, yeah, it makes sense. I've used stuffed animals and stuff like that. Growing up, I was very close to my stuffed animals. Mainly because I don't like animals touching me. I don't like dogs licking me and stuff like that. They're cute, but don't touch me. I don't like it, right? Stuffed animals to me, they're cute. They got a cute little face, whatever. You know what I mean? So there's a cruelty with these people. Okay, religion to me is extremely cruel, extremely cruel. Okay, I've done nothing to ever deserve it. Now the message I'm getting right now is that yes, people understand that I'm the reincarnation of King Solomon. They look at me as kind of nerdy. I'm proud to be a nerd. Proud of it. You know why? Because I'm intelligent, and the fact that I'm intelligent makes it so that I use discernment. So nobody can make me feel bad about that. Yes, I got the intuitive message that yes, my father's apparition also protects my son. Okay, why? Because we knew that we were set up among wicked people. That's the truth. Once again, the town goes silent. The whole area is very silent. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that I am a business professional and I am more respected than anyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yes, now the community is now aware, as well as people who watch my videos outside of the town of Bakersfield. The message I'm getting is that I brought awareness about the TI, targeted individual, and the human trafficking issue. Okay, I was right all along. Yep. Also, me talking about, I don't know about how my father's apparition appears. Like, I really don't. Okay. I do know that it's a supernatural thing. I suspect that it must only show up on camera. I have never seen the apparition myself. Okay. I do recall seeing my father's face in, the TV snow, like a long time ago. Those, I think it's called analog TVs back in the 90s, a little bit after he died. I remember seeing his face in that, okay, in that snow type stuff that used to come on the TV. But I don't know what he looks like. Like what would I know he looks like he did in the 70s and 80s, the dad that I used to love, like the one that I recognized and fully uh, was engaged in. Like, he would have conversations that were just, I used to just love hearing my father speak. He was a remarkable person. Okay. But I do know that his presence is around. I also know that that people suspect that my doll, Cabby, is possibly my father's apparition. Maybe, maybe. You know what I mean? But Cabby is my doll. And, there are times where I put Cabby in my purse and I take off with him. Why? Because there's times where I understand that I'm going to have to walk outside and be among evil people, be among the wicked. I'm among wicked people. Period. And I'm not saying that everybody is, but you know what? It's left that impression. Okay. So, yeah, I have the right to, if I put something in my purse, my personal, that's my bag. And if I choose to carry my doll, I keep my doll in my purse. Sometimes I do. You know what I mean? Why? Because it uplifts my mood. Okay. And I have the right to have that. Now, I just recently started doing that, and like I would say the last few months or something. So, if my Cabby, which some people think is my father, if he is, then I will tell you that could explain one of the reasons why I found him absolutely irresistible when I first got him. You know what I mean? I was just like, I gotta hold on to this doll. Like this doll brought me so much peace, and it made me very sad. I was very sad when I realized I was a target individual. And I remember going to the state cell, and I saw this little doll, and it was face down, right? And I picked him up, fluffed him around. I looked at it and I fell in love. I fell in love with that little doll. Okay. And yeah, I love him. I love that little doll, right? Okay. Something about yeah, okay. So people recognize that, yes, I was bullied out of school. They knew that they followed me around everywhere, and they purposely sabotaged. Okay, I was purposely sabotaged as part of this program. This is one of the reasons why they ruin your reputation, because most people, they want to have friends, they want to have a normal life, right? They know that you want to have association, so they make sure that you don't have any. It's a part of the Nazi I need to one up you type thing. Okay, including, and then they use your family. They just use everyone. This is one of the reasons why I call it a machine. Okay, it's all for the advancement of the Aryan race, but then you have Mexicans, Asians, Black people falling all over themselves, basically tripping all over themselves to bend over backwards to assist these people. And the message I'm getting right now is that it's about spirits. There's a lot of dead people who were supporting the Nazis and were very sorry that they did. And guess what? Their spirits all transformed the same. Every Asian, every white person, every Black person, it does not matter. They all came out of their bodies and they're all hanging out, doing whatever. Okay. Okay. So yes, a lot of people, part of the reason why they were targeting me is because they recognized that I was a high class person, meaning I had higher standards, and it was shown by looking at me. You can tell that I'm a higher level person. I remember when I was working at Carl's Jr. many years ago, I was a teenager, and my brother, he used to work construction or something, and he came through the drive-through when I was a teenager, and he said, "Maria, you don't look like all the other people." And I kept thinking, okay, well, all these other people that I was working with, they were white. Of course I don't. But he said, and see, the thing is, I was wearing my uniform and everything else. Okay, so you would think that I would be just like everyone else, right? It's how I carry myself. It's how I speak. It's my mannerisms. It's everything. People can tell that I'm a highly cultured person. Okay, so the people who were targeting me, they were like, "Oh, she's higher level than everyone else." That made me make it seem as though I was better than them. And see, what they didn't want. They wanted to beat me at a game that I had no interest in playing. So this is why they were trying to bully me, and they were trying to force me into suicide. And this is one of the reasons why they got all the churches riled up, okay? Because they wanted to make sure that the Nazis had assistance with their plan, so they used the churches to do it. And these people fell for it. Okay. Yes, I am a very highly cultured, and I never really thought of it that deeply. I knew that I had higher standards. I knew I had a different way of living than most people. Okay. But see, I didn't know that other people recognized that, because I've been studying human behavior for the longest time. I study, their belief systems. I study their behavior, study how they discipline their children, study how they define things. Okay. And I said when I was a kid, I want the right path of life. This is one of the things I prayed for. Show me what I'm supposed to do, so my life's better. Okay. What else? Yes, I am the reincarnation of King Solomon. and that people feel as though I will live a long life, and once I die, I will not be cloned again. And no, I am not somebody who supports what those people did. I'm actually disturbed by it. Like, I've seen what they've done to, uh, okay, when I did my past life reading, okay, for example, I was intersexed. And then they decided to make me a woman. And like I said, and then they want to turn around and harass you for it. See, I'm going to tell you right now, if you can't see through the demonic in that, you've got a problem. Okay. And so there's still a little bit of those demonic people running around. And yesterday was a good example of it. To me, you can't sit here and justify that sort of behavior. You just cannot. So anyway, yes, I am a person who, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about WAS, like, women of substance or men of substance for that matter. Okay. And this is what I'm trying to connect with. I really want to connect with people who want to up the ante. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people who are very cultivated, who are tired of going to work for unprofessional people. Okay. And I've dealt with it for a very long time. And I'm talking about the kind of managers that don't know how to manage people. And so they use the same sort of tactics that end up in psychologically damaging people, ruining work cultures, making people want to leave, and who have high turnover rates because nobody can stop tolerate that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm talking about: psychology and law. You know what I mean? I know, and I have what it takes to create a better workplace. Now, like, for example, I talked about my offering services here in the Bakersfield community. I obviously have to make money. Now, and it depends on what I'm being serviced for. Like, if I do have a manager and I have a administrative type thing. And a lot of people, I understand a part of the program here in this community because these people were so jealous that they wanted to reduce me to nothing. Right? Knowing good and well I held higher titles, knowing good and well I know more, I know how to do their job and then some. Okay, so they want to play the office clerk game. So, if people hire me for my administrative services, that's fine too. But my point is that I'm always going to perform my job in the utmost professionalism. I will never resort to any of these sort of games. I'm going to be very upfront and honest about everything. That's who I am. Okay, I care about, the quality of my work, and I care about, you know, uh, what most companies use as a form of, I'm going to call it like fashion or jargon, like transparency. Okay. They'll sit there and say, we need to, we're talking about transparent. We're going to be transparent, or we want to promote transparency. It's like almost like a trend for them to say this so that they can cover up their lies. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm tired of dealing with that. And the reason why there was so much lying when I was in these situations, because I was in the middle of a human trafficking ring. Okay. And I've been trying to tell people, and I'm finally glad that people are waking up. Very glad they're waking up. Okay, so people say that they're seeing me in cool places, like I'm going places. I don't go really anywhere. I just get on the bus and go to like the library. Okay, I do think it's important to get out of the house. Okay, being in the house for very long periods of time can cause you depression. Now I know this weird religious group were hoping that I would be depressed. They were hoping that I was going to kill myself, even though they're the religious group that was working alongside the group that had me engineered in the first place. Okay, but when it comes to Christianity, I will tell you this, or not just Christianity, when it comes to religion, okay, the brainwashing is so deep. Okay, when it comes to religion, I've seen people who have dualistic thinking. I study these sort of people my entire life. I'll hear them talk about one thing, and then they'll sit there and say something else as if they believe in something that they just saw that was not real. I would say, and the main reason why is because there's a lot of manipulation that goes on in religion. Okay, they force you, they try to use force and coercion to get people to stay and stick with them. It's very sick, very, very sick. Anyway, the message that I'm getting is, okay, my vibe is calling and attracting the tribe of my choice. And this is what I want. I want, I want to be around people who have high standards. You know what I mean? And people who want true professionalism, people who care about, removing the political bullshit from the workplace. Okay. Like I said, I'm a 54-year-old woman. For the last decade, okay, I have been working in companies that were operating as employment mills, bringing people in, playing their stupid games so that they can feel good about themselves, wanting to play with your title, and it's all a game. I don't have time for that. Okay, I have the right to work for a company that is seriously, focused on improving their products, their services, making real money. Okay, not piggybacking off of some other company because they're being really lame or something like that. I've seen a lot of that. Okay, I need to be around because I'm completely driven. Okay, I'm completely driven. I have too much skills, too much knowledge to just sit there and be an office clerk for idiots like Reckles Laverne. Okay, and so meanwhile, while this dude's sitting here playing games and trying to be in a competition that I have no interest in doing, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I'm going to retire. Okay, I hate that man. Hate that man. Okay, and I hate managers like him. Okay, I'm tired of dealing with, and managers always use the same kind of tactics. Like they want popularity. Like I know when I was working at a couple places, and I'm trying very hard not to like use names anymore. Okay, because at this point, like I said, I really want to move on. I want to focus on my projects. I want to focus on go.com. That's the company, that the website. Okay, it should be launched by 3 o'clock. Okay, this afternoon. um, I need to focus on that. And that's all I need to focus on. I don't need to focus on, weird people, losers, meaning like losers like the bus driver. I don't need to dealing with that sort of stuff. Okay, like I said, and I'm going to nip it in the bud if I deal with somebody who's irate or a demonic, because I would say that that person's demonic. I'm just going to call you out. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to blast you. And like I said, I don't have a problem blasting people who participate in human trafficking. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. Okay. So yeah, my vibe needs to, this is one of the reasons why I want to be around people, who are cultivated. I want to be around companies that are wanting to go, to truly work on focusing the promotion of their services and their products. That's it. Okay. I'm tired of the unnecessary drama. Okay. The political drama that so many people are sucked into. Okay. That CEO culture and the corporate stuff. I'm not into that. So other people who want to do something different, who are tired of that, this is what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to connect to certain people. Obviously, I want to connect to business owners all throughout California, all throughout California. I can only service Bakersfield, California right now. Okay. But what I'm hoping to do is get enough money from Human Targets, which I have not sold anything yet. Okay. And then I just transferred this onto my site. Human Targets is my fundraiser to get money to move back to Lancaster, California. I want to move back to Lancaster, California. The message I'm getting right now is that I am the occultist of the free thought movement. And I think this is one of the reasons why the churches were trying to prevent me from making a living. Okay, we have freedom of religion here. If your church is telling you how to live your life and how to conduct commerce, that's kind of a problem. Okay, so the message I'm getting right now is that many clones are choosing heaven. It is a natural choice, and I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. I feel as though they should have stopped a long time ago. I am the face of the new workplace. I'm glad. And the other message I'm getting is a lot of people believe that and want me to change the school system. I'm on board for it. You know what I mean? I've been making curriculums for quite a long time, and I know that. And so the message I'm getting about is about marijuana. People have their personal lives. Okay, they have their personal lives. Marijuana does not play a role in my personal life. And see, this is what I hate about a lot of these immature people or unprofessional people who constantly want to dig on certain. There's a lot of people in the we call it the education profession. Okay, who drink wine at night, who have a beer, they go out with a group of friends and have something. Okay, so some people say, well, what's the difference? Okay, both substances alter the mind. Okay, most people want to take off the edge from their stress, so they might have a glass of wine. It alters their state of consciousness. Okay, it takes them, they're from tension to this other state of consciousness to where they feel more relaxed. Okay, some people would say the same thing about marijuana. Same thing. The difference is with wine, if I was to go out and have 5 drinks of wine, I might have a headache the next day when I wake up. Okay, chances are I'm going to have a hangover. If you smoke marijuana, I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to feel fine and I'm not going to be impaired on any level. So some people would say, well, why is it that marijuana is constantly being attacked? Um, hype, hype. Okay, like I said, there are some people who smoke marijuana, some people don't. Some people have that glass of wine at night, some people don't. It is that simple. Okay, when it comes to my work, I'm not smoking at work. Just like that was another one of the bus driver's excuses. Number 45, he resented the fact that I smoked marijuana. I wasn't smoking marijuana on his bus. So we have when you hear these people come up with these excuses, you need to sit there and completely understand that this is just a whiner and a complainer is what it is. Plain and simple. Okay. You know good and well that I do not sit here and promote marijuana. I would not promote marijuana to children. I wouldn't do it. Okay. So I wouldn't, there's no reason for me to bring marijuana into it. They're just like there's no reason for me to bring up my religious beliefs to anybody. Okay. None of that has anything to do with nothing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these, I'm not even going to just, to me, all of these reasons that these people bring up are crybaby reasons. Crybaby reasons, okay? They feel threatened by the fact that they know that I can do it. And so they want to sit here and make up all these bullshit things. Okay, yes, I am more than able to rewrite the school system. I, of course, am not writing textbooks. I'm just basically saying what kind of curriculum people should be having, and it should be 100% based on facts. You know what I mean? And the message I'm getting right now is that something about soulmates forever, being followed through it. See, this could be like my celebrity soul tribe, as well as not just my celebrity soul tribe. Some of these people I might have had something to do with in my past life. Like, who's to say Elon Musk could have been either a nemesis in my past life or could have been a friend in my past life? You know, with the last time he was cloned or whatever. I don't know. Something about, yeah. So, uh, this group of people that was a part of my life, like these other clones, okay, that were a part of this, who possibly started this, who possibly watched this, incited it, meaning like I know with the big blow up at Murray Family Farms, I was taken aback by all of that. Okay, I was taken aback by all of it, and I know that the harassment that went on over there was just to me unreal. Like, and these people, some of these people in my celebrity soul tribe or whatever, they scare me because of their ignorance. Okay, all of this I suffered for 12 consecutive years. Okay, and the message I'm getting has something to do with Christian. It says the message I'm getting is Christian commerce is going down. That Christians are losing control and being seen as evil. The operation is still under investigation. So they're probably catching a lot of people. Okay, and unfortunately, a lot of the celebrities were involved in this. This is one of the reasons why I'm talking about the brainwashing. They want to attack me for wearing makeup, but some of these people get on stage, they wear makeup. Not only do they wear makeup, okay, but they wear very sexy, revealing type clothing, okay. And I'm not judging them; that's a part of their profession. I'm just saying is, if you're looking at the situation, what are we talking about? We're talking about control. We're talking about something that doesn't even make any sense. I know I've been to job interviews, over at Grimway Farms, okay? And the lady who was interviewing me was wearing, gold chain necklaces, and she was wearing makeup, and she was wearing nice clothes. So what are you persecuting me for? Oh, marijuana? Like I said, that I would never even bring that up to anybody. Okay? And the reason why you know that I smoke marijuana is because you heard it through the grapevine of your human trafficking ring, because you're spying on me, and by doing that you're admitting it. Okay, I don't respect those sort of people. Yes, the Swan Song Manifesto is going to be identified with my enterprise. I think a lot of the people who were involved in the Swan Song Manifesto and possibly the manipulation of it, they were in the wrong. Okay, like I said, the Swan Song Manifesto it's my manifesto. It's personal, meaning it's my life told from my perspective. Just like, the issue that I talked about Rex Laverne, right? No one else, these people didn't live through that situation. That was my situation. Okay, it's about my life, the recording of my life. Okay, and then me having my last final say as to what's going on with my life, how I feel, my experiences. Okay. That's my part of my manifesto. Okay. That cannot be duplicated, imitated, or handed down to somebody else. That was stupid. And then these people got angry because I was standing up for it. There's a lot of people here in Bakersfield, no offense, okay, but they suffer so much that they want to lash out to people who have more than what they have. And the reason why is because they feel trapped. That's too bad, and I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry that you're in that situation, okay? But I'm not responsible for your failures. I'm not responsible for your failures. Okay? So, when it comes to what I do personally, when people bring that up, I want you to understand. When people bring up stuff that has nothing to do with anything, okay? You know that they're either fishing, or what's the word for it? Grasping for straws. Because so when people sit there and talk about, oh, Maria, she wants to sit here and talk about the education system and blah, 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 but she smokes weed. Let me tell you something. When people bring that up, that's what they're doing. Period. Okay. I see everything that these people brought up, it doesn't hold any water. So it's like, I'm tired of dealing with weak people. I don't like weak people. And I'm very open about saying that. Because to me, weak people are nothing more than obstacles. They only cause problems. They're the kind of people that I personally think should be eliminated off the face of the earth. Why? Because they cannot produce anything but something negative. Anyway, so the picture that I post on my website, because I know they were trying to say, oh, she can't post her picture on my website. And you know why they didn't want me to post my picture on my website? Because I'm a 54-year-old woman and I look great. That's why. My lifestyle has brought me a vibrant persona, the way that I look. Okay, now I would say that black people age slower than white people. Okay, but there was a lot of jealous women involved in this. Okay, so they wanted to squash me out on YouTube and try to bully me over what they perceive to be as beauty. And I know this is, when it comes to women, okay, the first thing they always attack is a woman's beauty. Isn't that funny? You know why? Because a person's beauty is a confirmation of their life being well lived. Okay. Just like if I was, if there were two people, right, and we were auditioning for a health spa, which I don't even go to those places. Okay. But two people were auditioning for a health spa. Okay. There's someone like Paris Hilton, right? And then we have a pretty chubby girl, She's kind of chubby. Who do you think people would want to use as an example to front a company that is trying to present wellness of your body? I would probably choose Paris Hilton. Why? Because she has, now, some people would say, well, some people think that Paris Hilton is too skinny or whatever. That's not the issue. Okay, I'm just saying is that, and I'm not in any way trying to belittle people who are overweight. I'm just saying is that, yeah, I do believe that taking care of your body is important. Some people try to accuse me of taking care of my body more than I do. And the reason why they want to do this is because it's a part of their competition. I know that Rex Laverne was sitting here talking about me. They were trying to bully me into a lifestyle that I did not want. Meanwhile, he was going to the gym, exercising and stuff like that because he was in competition with me. I'm not interested in competition. I understand a healthy body is a way of life. It is not about one-upmanship. It's, yeah, to me, yes, your body should be in line. For me, okay. If other people want to live their life a different way, that's their choice. Okay, but I just found it really offensive. I was offended that people were sitting here talking about something as personal as my body. It's none of your business. And for the catty women that sit here and give me the eye roll, I understand what your problem is, and you don't matter to me. So yes, my picture is on the website. Number one, to let people know that yes, I am the owner of Gordon's Occupational Engineering. And then there in the link, there you can click on the introductory video, and I do explain my picture because I show my picture. Right, I'm wearing a black turtleneck. Okay, and my hair is at least combed in the video, and I explain my picture. I explain the bullying that went on about my own image. Okay. The message I'm also getting is that people know that my lifestyle and my outlook and my philosophy is a way of is the way of enlightenment. Okay, this is another reason why people are studying me. They want to study what I do and how I live my life, and I get really tired of it. I get really tired of it. And it was no way in me ever trying to, it's just, I believe in this way of life. Now, if I was somebody who was going to get married, which I'm not, okay, I'm already in my 50s, but if I was, yes, this is the kind of family structure that I would want. I would want my entire family to have the same views. I would raise my daughter to have the same sort of views. Okay. I would. Okay. So yeah, they were holding it against me for my beauty routines, and my beauty routines are nowhere near as extensive as a lot of other people. Some people go get like makeovers, they get facials, they go to places to get, their skin, what do you call it, scrubbed and all that. I don't do any of that sort of stuff. Okay. But, the thing is that what I do with myself and how I take care of my body is no one's business. Okay. And I will put people in place every single time. And most people, they don't stand up to that sort of thing. To me, you start talking about my body and all these sort of fixations, I put you right back in your place. You stay the hell out of my personal life. Period. Okay. Your body is yours. It's like, whatever. Okay. And no, I don't look at my body as a sex tool. I look at my body as a sacred temple. Also, the message I was getting, I am debating over, which social media sites I should use. I know I have a Facebook account that has quite a lot of members on it. I don't know. You know what I mean? If I do try Twitter. that's a tongue twister. If I try Twitter, which is actually X at this point, I'm just experimenting. Okay, but I might give it a try. I did go to the library yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to go to the library today or not. I don't know. But I'm glad that the bus schedule has resumed. And like I said, I'm going to continue to stand up for myself. The other message I got is that people know that I'm a powerful occultist. I'm comfortable saying and identifying myself as an occultist. I understand that religions is what religion was derived from the occult. Okay. So when people sit there and try to make it sound like I'm into something dark or they're full of shit and they know it. They're full of shit and they know it. Now, some of these people, I believe, based on what some of these ratings I got from other people, like, there were times where I did watch a lot of the YouTubers. They would talk about Chosen One readings, and they would talk about how certain people have gotten together. And these people claim to be Christian, too. They get together and they create spells. They try to do, like, death spells on me, all kinds of stuff. Hate crimes. Hate or death magic on me, okay? Now, the only time I've used death magic is on people who deserved it. Like Rex Laverne and Steve Murray and all this other stuff. Yeah, I hope that you die, and if that happens, great. You know why? Because I've told you several times to get out of my way. I told you that you're putting my life in jeopardy. You put my life in jeopardy so many times, and yes, you got exactly what you asked for. Okay? But these people just wanted to have me killed just because they knew I was superior. That was it. Bloodline targeting. Okay? They could not stand me because they knew that I had better qualities than they did. And this is why they got together and tried to promote black magic. Guess what? I'm protected. Divinely protected. The message I get right now is that a lot of women want to connect with me. If this is true, then you know where to connect. The people I'm obviously trying to connect with is, number one, the state of California. Okay, people here in California, I want people to take a look at human targets. If you have already seen a required video relating to human trafficking, you can do the comparison and contrast. Okay, like I said, the same group of people who train people on sexual harassment are the same people who have an agenda. This is the reasons why, blowing my issue up to the extent that they did proves that they know nothing about sexual harassment. If you did, you would stop talking about what I wear and watching what I do. Okay, this is all hypocritical. They fail in everything that they do. Okay, but yes, if you want to take a look at my video, once my site launches, how this is going to work is you would purchase the video, and then I in turn, hopefully I'm going to see if I can get it printed on the receipt. So once you get the video link, you can watch the video from that way. And it's a good one, okay? I would say that my video is good. It's 2 hours and 37 minutes long, okay? So you might want to break it up or watch it with your team, or, I think it's a good thing to watch with your team, really. And then at the end of the video, I talk about my own personal experience with human trafficking. And then part of that same video I'm using for the moral reset as well. Okay. I've just extracted the part of my personal experience and I'm putting the rest of it into the moral reset because yes, human trafficking is one of the topics I'm talking about in improving this society in the state of California because it needs to be that way. So yeah. So it's of course people who are tired of seeing the corporate structure and how damaging it is. If that's the case, you can subscribe to my new channel. And then you can also, for business owners here in Bakersfield, California, you can reach out to me, select either managerial services or the administrative services. And then what it is just basically collecting info. You'd be selecting the information, and then I would contact you probably at a later time or however this works. I don't know how all the little configurations work on that program, but this is one way because it's very specific. Like, somebody might want you to work for 3 hours a day. Some people might work, so you need all that specific information. But yeah, and then also targeted individuals. If you're a targeted individual, you can, definitely support my new YouTube channel as well as me on social media. I'm basically trying to encourage targeted individuals to stay away from things like job boards. I'm letting them try to find and experiment with different avenues. Okay, I am Maria Gordon, and I'm leading the new workplace for everyone to see. Okay, so yeah, targeted individuals definitely connect with me on. I will let you guys know what I'm doing on social media because I really don't know. I haven't decided yet. Okay, when it comes to me, I have a background. Like I said, I did not know that I had a background of me being an apparition in the 1960s. And like I said, I think the church handled it wrong. If I was somebody that they were concerned about, this should have been brought to my attention. I should have known. Somebody should have told me, said, hey, you know what, Maria, you were seen as an apparition back in the 1960s. Therefore, we're concerned about your soul or whatever. They should have told me that. Okay, instead of making it a community harassment thing. Okay, I would say religious people are some of the most ignorant people I've known. And going forward in my life, I want nothing to do with them. The next thing is, yes, I own all of my enterprise. That's Gordon's Occupational Engineering. I also own Swanson Manifesto, and all creations are mine and mine only. Um, Something about me. Oh, okay. Something about my Cabby doll. Okay, if you know, I perhaps maybe it probably is my dad in Cabby. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, I do know that a lot of cultures believe that not to say that spirits live in dolls, they can inhabit them for a while. You know what I mean? Most spirits run freely, do what they want. They can transport themselves just by thinking. But if they feel as though they want to communicate with somebody or hover, close to someone that they care about, they will inhabit a doll. Some dolls are not, and I would say there are dolls that can become possessed by free roaming type demonic characters. And how would you tell if that's the case? Believe it or not, you can look at them in the eye and see the look on their face. If they have some sort of weird spirit inside of them, yes, that can happen. Okay. And like I said, when it comes to my spirituality, things that I know relating to the occult or whatever, I keep those things completely separate from my work. Okay. I don't sit here and I don't merge those two. Okay. Now, I will say, do I think that there's certain colors that are great to wear on certain days of the week? Yeah, I do. I keep it light, okay? But I don't sit here and talk about things relating to transference of the soul. I don't talk about. I do not like to have religion or of any kind of spirituality or something. I believe that those things, for me professionally, I choose to keep those separate. Okay. So if there's any other issues relating to me, people recognize that I am a good occupational engineer. I don't want to hear anybody else's stupid excuses. Everybody's excuses about keeping me from my dreams are all irrelevant. As well as, me believing that Cabby is a doll. I am fully competent. I have all my senses. You know what I mean? Just like, some people believe that their prayers work. Christian people who go to church and they pray and they say, oh, the reason why so and so healed is because they prayed. Some people can say, oh, you're delusional. That's not true. Prove it. Well, they can't prove it. They just know that they prayed and that the person's better now. Same thing. I can't sit here and I'm not going to over prayer myself. It's an irrelevant issue. Okay. Some people believe all kinds of stuff in the context of their religion. Okay. And so I believe when it comes to professionalism, I just choose to keep those things separate. Okay. Well, we're talking about things like, employee reviews. We're not talking about, the transference of the soul, not on my website. Now, the only thing you might see something like that on the Swan Song Manifesto newsletter, and that's a completely different thing. Even though the Swan Song Manifesto newsletter is talked about on my website, okay. But when it comes to like my professional life, going into companies and that sort of stuff, either working as a manager or administrative type person, I do not bring up my spirituality. Those are two separate things. Two separate things. Okay. So that's just how I work. Okay. And I'm very glad of my work style. Yes, I am a powerful occultist. I'm somebody who believes 100% in the divine, and I think that's it. It's getting late in the afternoon. I've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and 5 minutes. Okay. And actually, I only want to come on here and say a little bit, but I will probably be making another video later to introduce my channel. Or I don't know how I'm going to do this. I know I'm launching my channel, but I think I need to get on social media. I need to do that a little bit more because I don't really use social media. And because I also want to think it's important for me to say that the religions were shadow banning me. And they also had their congregations told to not, communicate with me. I was ostracized deliberately by the church. Okay. So now I've talked to Donald Trump. Definitely connect with me on social media. I would greatly appreciate it. There is nothing wrong with my picture. I am proud of who I am. I'm very grateful. Okay. I'm telling you the background of the reasons why the churches were saying what they were doing. And the reasons why they were saying it is all based on the Nazi and the bloodline competition, which I have no interest in playing. What else I want to say before I wrap this up? Yes, people regard me as the true savior. Yes, people feel as though they relate to a lot of things I say. If you relate to the things I say, if you're somebody who's tired of the corporate structure and realizes it's not going anywhere, you could definitely want to connect with me. If you're a targeted individual, a victim of human trafficking, you definitely want to connect with me. If you're a business owner here in California, you definitely want to connect with me. You can definitely purchase human targets wherever you are. Okay. For the state of California, I'm talking about the laws that relate to the state of California. But if you want to purchase it and you live in another state, I guess you can consider it a donation. Also, if you are from a different state and you do purchase the Human Targets video, and if you want to request the transcripts of that video, I can send them to you. I can send them to you so you can modify them for your own state and make your own version if you want to. And then also I would like to get in contact with people, connect with people who are from Lancaster, California, because the ultimate goal is for me to work here in Bakersfield, make enough money, and get back home. So, anybody basically here in California, I am hoping that you guys will connect, and I'm hoping to create a lot of content on my new channel that is very relevant to the workplace. I know that, that Coldplay couple that they caught on camera. I was going to do a video on that because I have a lot of deep feelings about that whole issue. But I think that, and I do not want to point fingers at these two individuals or try to make them feel bad. That's not my point. Okay. But there's something definitely, that's the kind of stuff that I've seen myself, working in certain companies where we have couples and stuff like that. So it's an interesting topic. Okay. I'm wrapping up this video. I feel like I've talked enough. I will be back later on this afternoon to let you guys know the details. I will be back later. Take care. Bye-bye.